Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, we got a absolutely fantastic show today. We all here to turn health is wealth. So you know, if you're healthy, that means you're wealthy in heart, mind, and body and soul. And we're going to talk about a lot of things about sharing our personal stories, understanding why it's important to keep doctor's appointments, and just talk about a lot of things that I believe that are so important to us, and to try to get the right mindset that we have to take care of ourselves. And we got a fantastic panel sitting here with us today, and I always encourage our listeners and viewers to be part of the show. Now, you can be part of the show just by going to the comments and asking any question that you want to, or just join in and be part of the conversation. So I encourage you to do that. Before I do anything, I have to always bring the boss in, the executive producer and the co-host of the show. That she makes everything happen. How you doing, Dr. Michelle Denise Cooley? How you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm fine. You got it right. You said not. You didn't transpose the names, but I'm doing good. I'm really excited about the show today because everybody has a story to tell about their health and wellness. Certain tips, things that have happened in their family history of health, and how we need to really, really follow up on certain things. But I'm just really excited about our guest today and then the discussion that's going to happen.
Wow, and I can't wait to get this started. So I tell you, first of all, why don't you introduce our two fantastic guests, and let's get them on and let's get the show started.
Yes, thank you. So, the title again of the show today, Sharing Personal Health and Wellness Stories, with our amazing guests today, Dr. Michael Mantell and Dr. Eric Hall Sr. And the purpose of the show is, getting to know the guests, but also discussing personal health and wellness routines and why we should know and listen to our bodies when it comes to our health and wellness, and the importance of following up on doctor's visits and scheduling routine tests. So let's talk about our guest today, Dr. Michael Mantell. For nearly 50 years, Dr. Mantell has been helping people of all ages and backgrounds disturb themselves less and create lasting positive change with his compassion-based, rational, emotive behavior coaching methods. He earned his PhD at the University of Pennsylvania after completing his MS degree in clinical psychology at Hahnemann Medical College. He has served as chief psychologist at Children's Hospital in San Diego, chief psychologist for the San Diego Police Department, chief behavior science consultant for the American Council on Exercise, co-founder, chief science officer of Plus Size Certified Inc., and many more. Dr. Mantell has, he has brought his knowledge for decades to broadcast and print media, including Good Morning America, Oprah Winfrey, Larry King, Men's Health, Women's Health, and many more. So let's talk about our other guest, Dr. Eric Hall Sr. He's full of wisdom and a man with clear purpose of his God-given talents and visions. Well-accomplishment Latin real estate developer, experience in international business development, marketing, and acquisition strategist. He lives with his wife, 7 children, 14 grandchildren in California. He has 35 plus years of business development and management experience. His most heartfelt experience is when he purchased land in Johannesburg, South Africa, to create a mission feeding station for over 10,000 less fortunate families. He was privileged to be assigned the protection detail for the Royal Navy Duke and Duchess of York during Australia's bicentennial ceremony in Sydney. Besides being the inventor of a patented plumbing product called the Clear J Trap, Dr. Eric T. Hall Sr. is an international business developer, a private investor, motivational speaker, licensed insurance agent, a qualified real estate broker, and evangelist. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Wow, just being in all of this presence, just those two guys, the resume that you just read, Michelle, we know that we are in great company with two of the most brilliant people that I know. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. An honor to be with you both, with all three of you.
Same here, absolutely.
So
Yes.
we're going to talk about, keeping appointments, health is wealth. And we're going to share some of our stories that might relate to some things that many people might just take for granted. And sometimes you take things for granted when you do figure it out and you do decide to do this years later. Sometimes it's too late.
Mhm.
So I want to start off with you, Michelle. You know,
Mhm.
you got so many stories to tell, and you came up with this topic. And just let's start with you.
Okay, so what is the question?
The question is, how do you go about making sure that you stay abreast in keeping your doctor's appointments? And if you're not sure about a doctor's diagnosis, do you actually go get a second opinion, or you just go by what the doctor tell you?
Well, I first of all, I listen to my body and I do keep up with my routine checkups. And as a woman, we have special tests that we need to follow up on, mammograms especially, and, other tests. But I make it my point to, as far as health, I exercise. I believe I eat right, but I also, most important, listen to my body. And if something's not right and the doctor's telling me this and giving me, prescribing medication and it's having the adverse effect or maybe no effect at all, I definitely will, question it. I'll give you a perfect example. Something that happened to me a long time ago when I was living in New York. Like those convenience stores, that metal thing you pull down when it's time to close. I was visiting a friend of mine, so it was halfway down. I hit my head on it, and not only I had a headache, it was just really bad for a couple of days. So I went to see this new physician and told him exactly what happened. He gave me anxiety pills. I was just so I was thinking, I'm not crazy. Why would you give me anxiety pills? So he wasn't taking my symptoms seriously. I took them for one day and I just threw them down the toilet. And I got a second opinion, got what should we call it? What they call it, MRI or something like that. And everything was great, but you have to listen. I mean, just because, and I think doctors are great, medical doctors are great, but if they say something or they're not really listening is the most important to me, to your concerns, then I have a problem. So I never went back to that doctor again.
Wow. Anxiety pills without doing a diagnosis. Sometimes like that. Dr. Mantim, why do you believe the topic of health and wellness is so important?
Where do we start? Let's start with the Bible. That's a good place to start. Always comes back to that for us. It says in the Bible that that healing comes from the Lord. It says that if it's written right there, if you hearken to the voice of the Lord and you do what's proper in His eyes and you listen closely to what He's telling you, He's going to prevent bringing sickness upon us. And simply put, I am the Lord your physician. Think about this. The best physicians don't treat, the best physicians help us prevent illnesses. We live in with a medical industry in the excuse me, I should say a medical industrial complex where health doesn't make money. Illness is what it's about. And what we have to be careful about is falling into that trap. So I believe that there's so much that we can do to start to take care of ourselves. Um, the Dan Buettner, who started the Blue Zones many years ago, said that the world's longest lived people don't pump iron, run marathons, or join gyms. They live in environments that constantly nudge them into moving without thinking about it. They grow gardens. They don't have mechanical conveniences for house and yard work. And if you go around the world into these blue zones, and I visited some of them, what you see are people living healthfully. It doesn't mean they're not going to get sick, but they have a sense of belonging to a community. They live with a purpose. They downshift. They take time out. They eat with what's called the 80% rule. I eat until I feel about 80% full. I eat plant-based foods. I don't drink too much, if at all. I belong to a group, a faith-based group, whatever that may be. And I put my loved ones first. That's the blue zones. That's what it's about. And I feel that we'll go into it, but the American College of Lifestyle Medicine tells us it takes a way to keep your mind from feeling stressful. Number one. Number two, don't smoke. Obviously, how many times do we have to be told that? Healthy eating. How many times do we have to be told that? Quality sleep. Be active and connect with people. Connect with people. But I want to just share one other thing with you quickly. When it comes to stress, it's important that people understand that we have the ability to create our emotions and our emotional destinies. How? We have to accept. We have to live with flexibility and accept. What does accept mean? ACCEPT. You know, I'm an acronymologist. I love to put words to these things very quickly. A means we accompany a problem. Let's not demand I shouldn't be sick. It's terrible, horrible. I can't stand it. That's going to make you feel worse. Number two, C, let's cancel our demanding thinking. Let's cancel that part of it. The other C is to stop complaining. Let's get rid of the complaints and cancel and cleanse our thinking. The E is ease, because when you can accompany your feelings, when you stop complaining, when you cleanse yourself, you have ease. P means permit yourself to have some space to see what's going on. Maybe what's going on is really for your benefit. When the doctor gave you, Dr. Michelle D. Cooley, the medication, say, this is no good. Maybe he gave it to you for you to take a step back and to realize I'm in charge of myself. That's growth. And lastly, real quickly, T, let's thank. Let's thank the fact that we can take care of ourselves with the help of our physician.
I love how you put these things with these acronyms. And I tell you, we're going to take a station break. But when we come back, we're going to start off with Dr. Eric Hall. And I tell you, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you do is go to the comments or whatever you're watching this on and ask any of these great doctors any question you want to. We look forward to hearing from you. Remember, it's your life, and we'll be back shortly after the break.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and we're talking about and sharing personal stories, and we're talking about health is wealth, and we're talking about making sure that we get a mindset where we have to take care of ourselves because we can't take care of anybody else if we don't take care of ourselves. And so, if you want to be part of this conversation, join us. All you have to do is go to the comments, ask any question you want to. Promise you, I'll get you on screen and we'll get you an answer. Dr. Eric Hall, how you doing, sir?
I'm blessed and highly favored, sir. Thank you for asking.
Yes, sir. So Dr. E, what is health and wellness? What does that really mean to you?
Well, great question, Doc. I mean, I concur with all our panels, what they said, and their definition of what it means, and I just think that it's important for us to understand, and like Dr. Mintel said, we got to go back to the beginning. What does God say it means? We're triune beings, so there's three-part components to ourselves: the mind, body, and soul. And that concept, once you get the understanding of it, it helps us to understand that the whole person is how we function. But we have our personal lives and professional lives that interconnect, and there's a mental capacity that has to line itself up. So our health is our true wealth has more than one real meaning to it when we understand the interconnectivities of how we work in this triune system of a body that we have. So I think it's important, the mental aspect, the physical aspects, and the spiritual aspect. You can't really have one without the other. That creates the unbalance that we deal with. And so I just think that everything that we're going to discuss today is really going to lay it out for somebody to truly understand why your health is your true wealth.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Hall. Dr. James JC Cooley, husband of Dr. Michelle Denise Cooley, got a question for you. Why is it important to know your family health history um, when you're talking to your physician? As we know, there's certain conditions that basically are inherited, diabetes, high blood pressure, for women, breast cancer. Why is it important to know your family health history? And can you share a story about that?
It's very important to know your family history because you just hit it on the nose. A lot of things are hereditary. And case in point, diabetes runs deeply in my family. And I have to be well aware of what the causes are and some of the things that I must do myself. And anytime you're dealing with a physician, you always want to uh, uh, notify that physician of some of the things that other family members might have had or went through. Not necessarily meaning that you are going to go through those or going to be the same with you. Case in point, sleep apnea. That runs in my family as well, and I was diagnosed with sleep apnea, and I could not wear uh, that
CPAP.
mask, the CPAP. I wake up and that thing thrown all across the room. And I don't even know how I did that. And a story that I will share is a quick story. I was seeing this physician in Dallas, and he told me that he said, "Hey, I think I can help you out with this. See, but maybe cure you from the sleep apnea." Long and short of the story, he told me that I need to get my tonsils taken out, my adenoids. He opened up and he did all these things. I'm thinking that worst case scenario, I'm gonna lose some weight if it doesn't lock in. This guy, once he finished with me, 7 days later, I came back to get the the stuff pulled out your nose. He had destroyed my whole nasal system. I'm talking about I could not breathe at all from my nose up. The only way I could breathe was through my mouth. And what he did was gave me these steroids, 7 days worth, and told me, "Oh, it's probably just swollen up." Gave me 7 days worth. Put these things. and came back to him, and he like, I don't know what's going on. So I went and got a second opinion, and the doctor told me, he said it was a simple surgery that you had. He just got cut away and destroyed your nasal system. It's collapsed. It collapsed on me. I went through 46 surgeries over a seven-year span just for them to rebuild my nasal system from the inside out. And that's part of family history, knowing that you got that, and also being able to get a second opinion. So it's sometimes just like what Dr. Mantia said, we had to think out the box because what they wanted to do was cut a hole in my neck, you know, yeah, a tracheal, I don't know what you call it. Uh, yes, but family history is so important in understanding and getting a second opinion because sometimes doctors do get it wrong.
Yes, most definitely. Dr. Hall, do you want to share a story personally or someone that you know where their health was compromised when they did not take action early or followed up with the physician's recommendations or advice?
Absolutely. It's too real in my family because, as we talked about things that are hereditary, it's important to focus on preventative care. And it's another reason why we should share family history and be aware of family history because certain things you just can't prevent. And a lot of times mentally, we don't want to hear it and we can't believe it's us or happening to us. But last year for me, my mom and my son, my 33-year-old son, was diagnosed with cancer. And my mom had been told previously that she needs to stay on top of it because there was some hereditary things with kidney disease and stomach disease that can lead to a stomach cancer. And I think that she just, for us, asking the questions from my mom to make sure she go to her appointments and all that. And, oh, I'm okay. I'm feeling better today. So maybe it was just a stomach, pain or this, that, and other. And we have to listen to our body. And so my mom, was later on diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. Doctors told her she was far gone. We traveled her to, all different places around the world to get holistic opinions and so on and so forth. And by the time we, traveled San Antonio, Mayo Clinic, and all these other places, they was like she was too far along. She waited too long. And so doctors, by the time we found out from the last person, they said, look, I don't know why you're even here. I think the other doctors was just afraid to tell you that you just should be on hospice and go home and just be comfortable because you're too far gone. I mean, that was their words. It was so harsh that broke her spirit. And from there, she got sick. And I think that was like June or something last year. And then so when she got to this place mentally that, you know, she couldn't handle it, I'll say it that way. She took really sick and went in the hospital and lost 45 pounds and so on and so forth. So by the time I got out to her, doctors told me she had less than a week to live. And I said, well, I appreciate what you're saying. I rebuke that. You know, Dr. Jesus will have the last say. And God found it in his spirit to have me out there to nurse my mom back to somewhat of a health to give us another 5.5 months with her. We utilized that time to just really understand what's important to look at family history so we can focus on preventive care. And that's the message she wanted to leave me with. And right after she passed in November, I was right in the hospital with my son and battling, you know, his cancer and been there for a whole these last 7-8 months with him day by day, you know, fighting a rare cancer, sarcoma. It's a longer name than that, but so rare that, you know, Harvard and Mayo and everybody else is involved with this whole process. But we're trusting God has a message in this whole thing. But preventative care got to be the way we talk to the youth to be able to get them to understand the importance of it, hereditary and preventative care.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Hall. Dr. Mantell, there are people out there who abuse over-the-counter medicines or basically vitamins. What is your thoughts on why people may become dependent more on over-the-counter products and exceeding the recommended dosage on the products? I mean, it specifically gives you instructions on what the dose is to take, but whether it's pain related, some people can't take pain, or, oh, this is just a suggestion. Like they think they're their own doctor and they just take beyond the dosage. And there are cases, and they're rising, of people passing away from abusing over-the-counter medicine. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, today everyone has a medical degree from Google University, and everyone is an MD from Google University. The fact is that the mind colors reality. And so the mind tells people, well, I heard this, or someone told me that, or, oh, my doctor doesn't know what she is talking about. Look, we have to pay attention to the distortions that we bring in our lives. Let me give you an example that we just heard. Dr. Hall's mom went all around the world, spent thousands and tens of thousands of dollars going all around the world, time, effort, heart, passion. Can you imagine living that way to begin with? We hear so much about people who diagnosed with cancer or these life-threatening illnesses, and suddenly their life changes for the better. Their mindset changes. Well, what if that happened before the diagnosis? So I think another point I want to make about this is that what we pay attention to, what we feed, we live. So, for example, like, is it important, just to go back to your other question about heredity? Heredity is not a sentence. Heredity is information. But our genetics, there's something called epigenetics, where we can control the expression of those genes. Just because my father died at 55 doesn't mean I'm going to turn the clock back. I'm going to be 74 in 2 weeks, and I'm going to go back and die at 55 again. That doesn't mean it that. Right. How we live our life. So we have a young person going and believing the commercials and Google, and I heard, and this, taking all these supplements and all that stuff, they're harming themselves. And the question they have to ask themselves is, do you want to live a long life? Do you have a reason for that? And could it be that this information that you're not following is going to impact that?
Thank you, Dr. Mantell. Thank you so much. I just want to make one comment. I like what you said, Dr. Mantell, about even though your family history says this has happened, doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. Some people psych themselves out. Like I know my side of the family, well, both sides, there's a hearing loss issue. I don't think about that, but I know, it's good information to know. And just because maybe I'm not hearing clearly one day, I'm not going to psych myself thinking, oh my gosh, I'm losing my hearing. Maybe I've just got wax in my ears, just something simple like that. But I like what you said about that. Yours, Dr. Cooley.
Yeah, we're going to take a station break, but this is so interesting. I can't wait to get back from the break so we can pick this topic up. And if you want to be part of the conversation, just go to the comments and just ask and one of you great doctors any questions you want to remember. It's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? in everything that you do.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life, and this is such an amazing conversation, amazing topic that we're talking about today, and just knowing a lot of things, especially your family history, and understanding that what Michelle just said. Just because something is written on the bottle, you need to follow the guidelines of certain prescription medicine. Otherwise, a couple of things can happen. You can get addicted to it and start liking it too much, and you start taking them too much. So I want to jump back on these topics. And what I like to do, Michelle, is I'm going to turn it back over to you. Then we're going to turn it over to Dr. Hall and Dr. Mantell and give them an opportunity to ask questions and talk about other things as well. So we'll start off with you, Michelle. And then Dr. Mantell and Dr. Hall, you guys, the floor will be open for you guys to ask questions and just educate our viewers and our listeners.
Thank you, Dr. Cooley. Okay, workaholics. There's nothing wrong with working hard and loving it. You know, there are a lot of people who just work. It's a great thing. Some people just get really, fired up and passionate about working. I'm gonna talk about me. Once I'm done with work, I am done with work. But there are people who, even when they go on vacation, they can't help from working. Dr. Hall, this question is for you. What do you believe it's beneficial for your health and wellness to be a workaholic all the time? And everybody's different, but what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I thought you were choosing me purposely because you know my.
No, James told me to ask you the next question.
Well, no, it's ironic. I mean, the short answer is, should we be conscious of doing too much of anything? Because too much of anything is a sin, right? So we keep that in mind from a spiritual standpoint. It's about balance. When I was young and dumb and, didn't know anything any better, my goal, and I need to digress for a second because we talked about, the family and all those things. And because it's important psychologically to understand that, I mean, generational curses are real, but you have to have the spiritual aptitude to understand what God can do. If we're going to say God is the God of, all things and over all things and above all things, I think it's important to live at the end of your faith. Believe what you believe that he say he gonna do. If he's Jehovah Jireh, he's your provider, then believe it, even when it don't look like he provided, right? So in my family, and this is why I hit harder about this subject, and I was great for the invite, but most men, 5 generations of men in my family are not educated. They had to work. And 5 generations of men, most of them died in their 50s. I'm in my 50s. And so psychologically, that's something for me to concern with. That's a real issue, right? But without my spiritual foundation to know that God can break all generational curses, we got the Bible basic instruction before leaving earth. I take those same acronyms, Dr. Mintel, as you do, and basic instruction before being a living example. And I think it's important to say, look, I recognize the curses that run in my family, and I am here to break it with the God that I serve. So, for me, I would say I had a mental breakdown because I was like, oh my God, in my family right now, I'm the oldest male alive in my family. What are we talking about? Everybody has somebody older that they used to, at least that's how I felt. And now that I'm here, I'm that last generation. In my 50s, there's no one older than me that's a male that can guide me. You don't know how much mentally that wears on the person. So I just think that when we put it all in perspective, and I'm sorry to be off topic from the question, but it's all relevant. It's important for us to realize that there are things that we can do. I see a psychiatrist twice a week. It's important to make our appointments and all those other things because our mental health, look at the world. There's a 72-year-old man that shot and killed people here in California. And then day after that, it was a 60-some-year-old man that shot and killed people. And it's like mental health is a true issue that's going on in the United States of America. And whether we call it, opioid epidemic or pandemic or whatever demic you want to put on it, these labels is because we don't have the foundation of Jesus Christ in our families. So in our lives, we took God out of school. He's practically out of church, and we wondering why the world is in a state of condition that it's in. I mean, the answers are obvious, and so sorry for that. The question that being off topic, but I think this hits home or hard for me. So
That was incredible, and you made so much logic and so much sense in how you phrased that, Doc. I want to turn the floor over to Dr. Mantell, and the questions or just educate us, educate our public. So it's yours, Doc.
Yeah. Well, just to follow up on what Dr. Hall was saying, for many years when I was a chief psychologist for the San Diego Police Department, way back in the 80s, and we began to see the upsurge of violence in the workplace. I wrote a book about it, Ticking Bombs, Defusing Violence in the Workplace. And I began to see and hear, and you hear it now, especially the beginning of the year in California, we're going to have gun control. That's going to solve the problem. That is not going to solve the problem. We need God control.
Amen.
Instead of taking guns away, can we give the prayer back to a school? I know people think, oh my God, this guy's nuts. What's he talking about? That's for another show. But let's get back to this. The point is, Dr. Hall and all of us, we all have stories from our genetics. But that doesn't mean it's a sentence, as I've said. It's the place that we begin to build on. So the average life expectancy in the United States of America is 79. Go around the world, it drops to about 72. We love life. It was given to us. We want to enjoy it. Michelle, I'm not a workaholic. I'm a worka-joy-lick. I love what I do. So at 11 o'clock at night, if I have an idea, I'm going to be presenting something Friday morning. So Wednesday night, I'm going to do, I just started something else. That's joy. Paula will say, there you go, loving what you do.
Right.
But there are a handful of things that I want to recommend. Make sure that we have a chance to talk about this. Number one, to Michelle's point, make relaxation a routine. Whether you meditate, you breathing, music, make relaxation prayer. When I go to my synagogue and I'm sitting there, and it's relaxation. Remember, that's what Sabbath is, the time between creation and relaxation. Number two, make gratitude a practice. Let's be sure that we have time for self-reflection and are thankful, are grateful. And we're grateful not just to each other, but to the one above. Value social interaction. Share time with others, but with healthy boundaries, of course. Take care of your physical self by looking at your sleep, your nutrition, hydration, your exercise. Monitor the social intake. It's an infection. more people are pained by social media. This is an outrageous statement, than by COVID, because it happens constantly.
Yeah.
And then journal your feelings. 15 minutes a day. Just that doesn't mean write them in a book. Just think about, what am I feeling? Then ask yourself the golden question, 10 words that make up the golden question, which is, what am I thinking that makes me feel this way? And Dr. Michelle Cooley was talking earlier a little bit about that. And, we have to stop and ask ourselves, just because my mother, grandmother, has this issue, doesn't mean I'm going to have it. I have some control. If I have it, then I'm going to learn how to think about it, to not suffer more about it.
Thank you, Dr. Mantell. And we have a question from Joshua Goldsmith, and I know this question, you can debate all different sides. Why do you think they have taken God out of our schools? Wouldn't it be mainly because there are so many different religions and deities that they want to avoid conflict?
I want to hold off on that question until we take this break,
Okay.
and we're gonna take a quick break because we have to, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna address Joshua Goldsmith questions. As you see, viewers and listeners, this is powerful. This is powerful, and if you want to be part of the conversation, do what Josh is doing. Just go to the comments, ask the question. We'll be back shortly after the break. Josh, I got you. I got you when we get back. It's Your Life of Dr. James JC Cooley. We'll see you shortly.
Fight again. And if you want my opinion, I'll let it take me away. Only relief is the four on the floor and the crowd that goes, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phrases and stages. These experiences teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to It's Your Life with James Cooley. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the JC Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get you equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James JC Cooley. We've got an absolutely wonderful panel here. Just brilliant folks. And this information is so important to each and every last one of us, and especially our families as well, because it hit home. And we never know when our issue or concern or problem is going to happen, but we have to be prepared for it. And we have to have the right mindset to be able to focus or refocus on how we handle these things. And so if you want to be part of this conversation, just send your comments in, just like what Josh is doing. So Michelle, do 1 and 3 Josh comments, and let's get an answer for him.
Yes. Why do you think they have taken God out of our schools? Wouldn't it be mainly because there's so many different religions and deities that they want to avoid conflict? I'm just going to volunteer somebody to answer that question for time purpose. First person to speak up.
Sure. I think if I take a stab and just, in Josh's question, why do we think they took it out? I mean, we know that I think it was 1960 something that they basically, the court ruled that, the school sponsored prayers are a violation of our established constitutional rights of the First Amendment. And so, again, just knowing that he talked about there are so many different religions and deities and those things, how do you monitor that or make it a blanket statement? Well, our founding fathers kind of said the reason it was added to the Constitution. And I think it goes back to what we talked about, back to the beginning, to the Bible, and without that being in place, the chaotic things that we're dealing with is just because there are so many different belief systems and things of that nature. So it's hard to govern it. I know that, like Dr. Mintel said, we got to add it back, and they got to start in our homes, spread to our communities, and then go into the public sector. The interfaith, I think they're trying to push the interfaith more with coexist and things of that nature. But it's going to be a large adjustment to see it all happen in our lifetime, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Hall. Question about wellness. So each one of us deals with stress differently, and a decompressing time. So I'll just speak. The question I'm going to ask is, how do you deal with stress, and do you believe that the way you deal with it should be exactly how your partner, your family deals with it? I'll just answer that, and I'll just go around the room. So for me, and it's just me, I don't like chaos around me, which nobody does, but I don't like when I'm being asked all these questions at the same time, all these people in my ear. It stresses me out. And I know it's good to multitask, but that doesn't work for me. It works for other people, but it doesn't work for me. So what I like to do is, I'm an emotional person. I know that, I accept it. I need to get away and pray and meditate or do whatever I need to do. I don't respond well to in my face. It really bothers me. And that's just something I have to deal with. And I'm just going to go around with you. What about you, Dr. Mantell?
Well, thanks for asking. Stress is something that we create. An event happens, chaos in your example. Mm-hmm. The way you think about chaos creates for you anxiety or stress, okay? And then if you don't alleviate that, then it creates physiological harm, psychological harm, and all kinds of other harm. So it's not the events around us. Stress is a creation of the mind, not of what's going on. We see that, for example, in hospitals today. We're talking about health, where doctors are complaining about burnout, rightfully so. And they say, well, the hospital system, you're asking me to see too many patients, not enough time, not enough money. I'm working all, and that's driving me crazy. There are doctors who love that. So it's the mindset. The mindset that I bring is a mindset of optimism. I look for the good in the chaos. Let's use that example, or the traffic. What could be good about this? Is there a solution that I can have to this? Maybe I just need to step out. I look for the valuable lessons in every difficulty that I face. How can I grow from this? I tell myself, this isn't happening to me. This is happening for my benefit. And I think about and take continual action towards, how do I move through this? So that's how I deal with stress. Now, physical activity, sleep, exercise, nutrition, hydration, breathing. There are lots of different activities one can do to diminish it. But I'm the guy who wants to put the fence up at the top of the hill to prevent stress, rather than put the ambulance at the bottom of the hill to pick up people who think that the world is stressing me out. No, the way I'm thinking about the world is what's stressing me out.
That's
I
right.
love that. I love that. And I just want to comment before I get to the other Dr. Hall and Dr. Cooley is that, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Like God says in the Bible, basically trials and tribulations will come. He's molding your character on how to deal with things. If you keep failing the test, it's going to keep coming more and more. How are you going to grow if you are always in peace?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to give that to you, Dr. Hall, and then we're going to end with Dr. Cooley.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand those valuable lessons. I mean, and this is that spiritual side that we can't get away from. Unless you want to wander in the wilderness for 40 years, not getting it right and not understanding these examples that went before us is for our benefit. So everything that he brings to you, nothing God brings to you, he can't bring you through. But you got to go deal with it. And it's all in the mindset of how we see things, the perception, the glass half empty or half full. If it's looked at it as everything that you deal with, trials and tribulations that's going to come, there's no way around it, are for your benefit, this world would be a whole different place now. Because we wouldn't blame and point the finger on people to what things are going on. This is for my benefit. So what do I learn? Lord, tell me what am I supposed to learn from this? And it's that meditation time. And Dr. Cooley and I, we talk about the steam room and sauna. We gotta do those things to be able to keep us, like, after those moments, I can take on the world again. So it's important for the mental aspect. I say we're a triune being, and so mind, body, and soul, and you can't neglect either one.
Dr. Cooley, it's all yours.
Hey, Dr. Hall, you must be reading my mind because you know how I handle stress. I have to get away. I try not to snap immediately because I try to think about how a person going to feel, and certain words that come out your mouth, you can't, once they come out your mouth, you can't take it back. I'm the type that I have to get away for a little bit, primarily to the gym, and primarily, and Michelle noticed, the steam room in the sauna. I would go there and sit in those two and think about everything for about off and on hour and a half, 2 hours, and clear my mind, refocus, and come back. And in the case of Michelle, sometimes I stress her out. I think about it, come back, and I apologize. I ask for forgiveness.
I get flowers. I get flowers. He's laughing.
and she does. So she get a whole lot of flowers sometimes, But I have to go and get away and decompress and think about exactly why I'm feeling a certain way, and try to relate that mentally in my mind, so I can try to come up with the best possible solution and answers that is going to help alleviate whatever I am stressing about. And just like Dr. Mantia mentioned, I try to prevent that from happening in the first place. Case in point, the people that you hang around, your company that you take. A lot of those folks are very stressful and always drama. And if you're hanging around it, it's going to rub off on you some type of way. And it ain't something that you can just go and wash off. Take a shower and get rid of that.
I have expressed. First of all, stress is a creation.
Mm-hmm.
People don't stress me out. I stress myself out about the way I think about those people. So the key is, am I demanding that they be different? Because if you are, that's going to create stress. Acceptance is a key part of this thing.
Absolutely. And the frequencies and vibrations that we all carry around with us, man. My house is my sanctuary, so I'm careful on what spirits I allow in the house. Being around people that radiate at a certain level is important, because if you're around, and once you understand the frequency process of this triune body, right? When you allow somebody with negative energy come, they're either going to bring you down or you're going to bring them up. And every way, it's important for us just to understand that. So.
Wow. We're down to the last 30 seconds of the show. And you know what? I think we need to do this again. I think we need to do this quite often, and get together, talk about things like that. And I think if we get an opportunity, let's try to do it once a month, if you guys schedule permit. Because I think this is so beneficial to everybody. I'd like to thank each and every last one of you for taking the time to come on the show today. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for taking the time to listen to the James Cooley Show every day. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Remember, dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. It's your life. We'll see you tomorrow.